Did you know that there was one question leading to Robert Kiyosaki's success? The one question that led to Rich Dad, Poor Dad and early retirement. The question that made him so rich? And it wasn't about money. This is the question that changed everything for the man behind Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And no, it wasn't, how can I make more money? It was, what does God want done? Stay with me, because once you hear how that question led to a global bestseller, early retirement, and complete freedom, you'll never look at success the same way again. This is the Passive Path, where we talk about wealth, purpose, and making money work for you. Section 1. The Summer That Changed Everything. Let's go back to 1981. A 34-year-old guy, broke but curious, attends a summer program led by a man named Buckminster Fuller. You might know Bucky for the geodesic dome, but back then, to those in the room, he was something more. He was a living genius. That summer, he asked Robert a question in front of 100 people. What's your life's purpose? Robert shrugged and said, to make a lot of money. Wrong answer. Fuller lit into him. He called it a waste of a brain, told him that chasing money was empty, said it out loud, so the whole room could hear. Robert felt humiliated. And yet that moment became the spark. Because then Fuller asked him a better question. What does God want done? Not, what do you want to do? Not what's your passion, but what's the thing that needs to be done? At first, Robert had no idea how to answer, but that question stuck with him. It crawled into his thinking and started shaping every choice. And here's the twist. That one question, it didn't pull him away from wealth. It pulled him toward it, with more focus than ever before. You chasing the next paycheck or the deeper purpose? What if your answer to one question could change your entire future? He couldn't shake the question. What does God want done? He kept repeating it. It felt bigger than money, bigger than personal success. So he started where he could. He knew money. He had lived with two different fathers, one rich, one poor. That contrast gave him insight others didn't have. He started teaching what he had learned from his rich dad, how money works, why school doesn't teach it, and why most people stay broke. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't famous, but it was useful, and people listened. At the time, he and his wife Kim had one clear goal: retire in 10 years. They gave themselves a deadline. He was 37, she was 27. They hit that goal. He retired at 47, she retired at 37. They didn't do it through luck. They did it through cash flow. They focused on assets that paid them every month. They bought time. And with that time, he wrote his first real book. If you want to be rich and happy, don't go to school. The title hit a nerve. The message was simple. Schools don't teach money. And if you want financial freedom, you have to learn it yourself. The book became a bestseller. But when he pitched it to publishers, they weren't impressed. One editor told him, "You haven't told me what you know." The book was full of emotion, but missing something deeper. He thought about that. What do I know? And that brought him back to the same idea. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Two ways of thinking, two ways of living, two completely different paths. And that became his next book. You already have experience others don't. You've already seen things from both sides. Start there. Start with what you know. What's something you've lived, really lived, that could help others? That's the beginning of purpose. And sometimes, purpose looks like helping others escape the same trap you were once stuck in. He wrote the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But every publisher turned it down. They told him to write what he knew, so he did. And then they rejected it anyway. So he self-published. He printed 1,000 copies, stored them in his garage in Phoenix, Arizona. No one knew the book existed. No stores would carry it. He shipped 12 copies to a friend in Austin, Texas. That friend owned a car wash. Put the books in your lobby, he said. We don't sell books in car washes, the friend replied. Exactly, he said. No competition. Weeks went by, no sales. Then one day, the friend called. "All your books are gone." He was excited. "Want some more?" The friend said no. It made him nervous, but someone had bought them. Then came the phone call. A man introduced himself. He said, "I bought your book." He was the one who cleared out the car wash. He said, "I'm a diamond with Amway." He believed in the message. He said, "How many copies do you have?" He replied, 1,000 minus 12. The man said, "I'll take all of them." Amway took the book global, from garages to living rooms across the world. It didn't stop there. Then came another call. This time, it was Oprah. He was hunting in Australia when Kim called. "Oprah wants to see you." He said he'd come back in a few weeks. She said, "No, Oprah wants you now." He flew straight to Chicago, sat down in the small studio, 2 chairs. He thought, "Who's the other guest?" Then realized there wasn't one. It was just him and Oprah. She introduced him and praised his book that the world listened to. Sales exploded as a result. Then another call came in, this time from Donald Trump. He wanted to talk about the book too. None of it was planned or expected to gain such attention. But all of it began with one question. What does God want done? That profound question led to a chain of events that took years, shaping his purpose and mission in life. That question led to a chain of events that took years. Teaching financial education, publishing books no one wanted, letting purpose lead instead of profit, and eventually reaching millions of people worldwide through his dedicated efforts. If you've ever felt overlooked, ignored, or unqualified, start asking better questions. Not, "What do I want?" but instead, "What does God want done?" This shift can transform your purpose, guiding you towards clarity and direction in your life. Because that's where clarity begins. That's where your own path starts. And that's where wealth becomes something more than just money, reflecting true purpose, fulfillment, and a meaningful life journey guided by divine intent. So now you've heard the full story. A rejected idea, a garage full of books, and one question that changed everything. What does God want done? This pivotal moment set his path towards purpose and inspired his future endeavors. If that question stirred something in you, don't ignore it. Start with what you know. Start with what matters most to you, taking the first step towards your own purpose and finding clarity in your life journey. And if this message hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe to The Passive Path, drop a comment, and share this powerful message with others seeking purpose and direction in their lives. Drop a comment and share the one question you're asking yourself today, because your path to purpose might just help someone else find theirs and embark on their own journey towards fulfillment and clarity in life.